Hey there, Derek here from Pacific Coast Auto in Japan, and we're looking at a 2003 Honda Integra Type R. 6-speed manual K20 engine. This one here bought from auction here in Japan for export over to Canada. This is our second try at the Honda. We had one at the Integra for this customer. We had one of the weirdest situations we've ever had where we bought an almost identical car to this one at auction for this customer, and then it turned out not to be a Type R, but it was a Type R. Weirdest thing. Have a look. This badge says Type R on it. The other car had everything Type R swapped into it, but it was a Type S. One of the weirdest situations ever. And my guess is that someone traded it in with a dealer and said, yeah, I'd like to trade in my Type R. And then the dealer had no idea and then sent the car to auction assuming it was a Type R. Let me tell you, that one had the Type R badge here, the Type R carpets, the Type R only unique blue interior, including the floor mats and the seats. The Type R badge here, the transmission swapped to a 6-speed, the K20 transmission swap, the seat belts were swapped. These are actually different seat belts made by Tanabe instead of Honda. Takata, pardon me, Takata. Everything was a Type R swap. And yet it wasn't a Type R, it was a Type S. Never seen it happen. Never, ever seen it happen. And this one, we ended up sending that back to auction because the gauge set had been changed too, and the gauge set said Type R, so we knew it wasn't authentic mileage. The auction was able to refund us the money. It doesn't happen a lot. Weird story. But that's the history of this purchase. Kind of interesting, right? This is the car that we bought to replace it with, so we'll take a look at that now. K20 engine, everybody knows this is one of the best engines ever made. I don't have a ton of experience with this or the K24 personally. I have driven them, of course. I haven't driven them in anger, just because I haven't had a chance to. I really want to, though, because people always say good things about this, but as a street engine, it is very good, which is something that you don't often see from a lot of great engines. They are great when you're driving fast and then a little bit annoying when you're driving slow. This one, from what I've seen, is just fine to drive slow as well. A few things to mention here. The engine coolant and the engine oil both check out. They're using a lightweight engine oil. It has an aftermarket air intake. This thing is wicked. I love it so much. It's got the air filter inside the housing there, right? To isolate it from the temperatures inside the engine room. The intake is right here. There's like a little scoop to intake your air from the windshield. And for anyone who's watched YouTube videos about aerodynamics, they'll know that one of the highest pressure points in the car, the highest pressure point is going to be the front bumper, right? Second highest is going to be right at the base of the windshield as the air comes over here, folds, and then smacks the windshield. You get a ton of high pressure here, so having your intake right here is kind of an ideal location if you don't want to have it at the front. And don't get me wrong, a front intake is great, but you can also intake a lot of things that you don't want to intake, especially rain that's getting kicked off of cars in front of you and whatnot. Cool little thing. I love it. So I'll just close the hood pins if I can do it one-handed. Sometimes they're a little bit hard to close. And we'll inspect the rest of the car. So first off, the auction sheet here, it's a 2003 Integra Type R, 2000cc engine, auction grade 4, interior B, and that seems about right. It has a few pretty big scratches on this side here and a few medium ones on the back. It says paint fade on the hood, but I don't think it's too bad. And then 109, 180 kilometers, Recaro seats in it. This is an optional blue interior, which is really weird that, because I've never seen this blue interior. It's usually red seats, sometimes black seats. Both of them were an option. Most people got the red ones. I'd say maybe 70% red and then like 25% black. And then maybe about, I don't know, because I could be wrong about this, maybe about 5% blue. And I adore the blue. And these blue seats were only available when you got the DC5 in the blue exterior color. And if I got a DC5, this is the one that I would want. And the fact that we bought two of them with the same color scheme within, I don't know, a few weeks of each other, mind-blowing. Okay, so sales points here, 109, 180 kilometers, same as in the note section, and the report says seat wear, steering wheel wear. There is a little bit of wear on both of them. It's not horrific on either of them. Headliner is a bit dirty. Again, I don't think it's a problem. Winter tires on it. And actually wheels, these are the OEM wheels on it. They're not in the best condition. They look like they've been driven as a winter wheel. Might be a good idea to try to get something like some Mugen wheels. What is that, the MF8 or MF10 wheels? Those would be perfect on this because they're of the era. Or some TE37s that we have on our car that sounds like it's a turbo, but it's not. There's some sort of a leak somewhere that's making a whistling sound. Okay, what else are we at? Rear wiper has been removed. Wheels are scratched. Underside surface rust and has been painted. Monitor inside is cracked. Door mirror is scratched. Various scratches and dents. And aftermarket parts. Aftermarket parts are not many. There's that air intake, and I think that's it. It's even on the original suspension, which I must say, if it were my car, I like aftermarket suspension, but recently I'm on a kick for OEM suspension. I feel like if you're a good driver, you can take advantage of OEM suspension in a way that aftermarket suspension kind of masks. If you make a mistake and your suspension is hard, you don't notice that you're making mistakes. And so as a learning tool, stock suspension can be great. Hi, Isaiah. Thank you for the camera batteries. So it says fade on the hood. There's actually an unmentioned fade on this top piece here, and I might as well mention it right off the bat. A little bit of fade here. Same thing goes on the other side, but not as bad on the other side. And I'll just quickly show that to you. Right here. And there's a bit of a scratch here. Okay. So before I get into any more details, I'm going to take you for a little tour around the car. I got to say the DC5 is a shape that's really grown on me. When it first came out, I didn't like it too much. And I actually just said this to Jacob, the guy that's learning how to take pictures behind me. You. And he was like, yeah, I don't really care for the headlights. And I was like, yeah, of the car, beautiful design all around. Headlights to me are a weak point. That said, I'm not spending all my time looking at the headlights anymore. Just when I see one of these, I'm like, good car. I think about that K20 engine, the 6-speed gearbox that actually shifts pretty nice for Honda. I like the back wing. I dig the taillights a lot. And it is like uniquely Integra looking. And I think with age, with most 90s Japanese sports cars, with age, the car keeps looking better and better because you don't have other cars looking just like this on the road anymore. You just don't. Sports cars nowadays, like the good sports cars of the current era, it's like the GR Yaris or the GR Corolla or the 400Z. They're very different looking cars than we had in the 90s. And sure, they look good, but this is, it's getting to the point where it's a classic car. And I think a lot of people agree that the 90s really were a special time in JDM history. So let's look at the details now. Front bumper has had the license plate changed from right here to right here. And then they plugged up the little screw hole that you screwed in the bracket to right there. And there are a couple of other points down below that you screw that in. Badge has a little bit of fade on it. And then the headlights are quite faded. Needs to be restored. Now the hood, the fade that they have is in areas of high concentration of resin. And so it's discolored the resin a little bit. Really not the worst in the world. And when you're looking at the car, you see an aftermarket hood. You're not seeing that fade really. The hood, Need for Speed Underground 2. In a good way. I think it's cool. Oh yeah, so as far as aftermarket parts go, the air intake in the hood and a gauge set, like the coolant temperature gauge inside the cabin. Go down the side now. We have, they said A3 on the side here, so I'll point it out. We have some pretty large scratches following my finger here and going down here. Most of them are on this side skirt, and pardon me, the car is dirty. Wish it were clean, but it's not. We got a pretty large one right here as well. Okay. The rest of this is all looking mighty good. And then the back corner here, they said rear bumper A2. This seems like maybe a strong A2, maybe a little closer to an A3. Okay. I think we have a few other scratches on the rear bumper, right? Some here. And then an odd one underneath here. That is an actual chip over there. Okay. Always loved the taillights, like how they look with the multi little mirrored sections. Really cool. Type R badge is showing its age a little bit. You can get a replacement for that fairly easily. And then coming down this side, do we have rolled fenders? We do not. Good sign. Usually don't on a car that hasn't been lowered, actually. It's kind of dumb of me to check that. A few scratches in the door handle. The rest of this side, we got a small dent right here. Okay. And the headlight on this side also fading a little bit. The hood, because it's a carbon fiber hood, you're not going to get a perfect fit here. You never do on a carbon fiber hood or a fiberglass hood. You just don't. And so that's true. The trunk also has a little bit of an alignment issue. Right here, you can see that is not perfect. It's not enough that it's distracting. It's noticeable if you're looking for it. Okay, and aftermarket exhaust. I guess that's a third aftermarket thing. I think various aftermarket parts. I'm thinking about a car like, 400 horsepower Skyline or something. There are a few things, not a ton. Now, into the interior. The liftback or the hatchback style makes it really easy to put things in and out of the car. You get a ton of room in the trunk on these. So a very good car for your daily driver or a family that has a new child. You can actually do a child seat in these older two-door coupes. Usually you'd want a four-door, but you can do it in this. We have the license plate bracket here. A broken cover for the child seat anchor, which is supposed to go here, but the nibs on it have broken off. And we have a chassis strengthening brace that for some reason is not attached to the car. I believe that brace goes underneath here. Like under the bumper here? Not 100% sure on that. Yes, the Type R has a stiffer chassis because of bracing like that, and there's a few other ones underneath. Okay. Got to mention something that I forgot to at the beginning. I was supposed to, but my ADHD was killing me. The front alignment is off so much that it is uncomfortable to drive. When you get the car, you're going to have to get this fixed. I took a look underneath. It doesn't look like your control arms are broken, but the sway bar linkage is torqued in a way that it's not familiar. You're going to want to take a look if you can adjust it or if there is something that is broken. You see this tire appears to be towing out quite a bit. The one on the other side also looks like it's towing out a bit. Weird thing to have. They are made to be adjusted there, so this might be as easy as just getting an alignment and getting it adjusted. But it is odd that it is towing out so much on a car that doesn't have aftermarket suspension and doesn't have clear signs of having it been in an accident. So you're going to want to take a look and possibly replace something that's worn out there. You might have an eaten up bushing or something. There was no clunks while driving it, but it does pull a little bit while driving. It's hard to go at speed. Also just noticed a little dent there. Now back to our regular scheduled interior shot, except for the rear wiper that we missed as well. Okay, there's a cigarette burn on the door card. Usually you want that mentioned on the auction sheet. Sometimes it gets missed. It is just a tiny one right here, so it doesn't stand out a lot, hence why it was likely missed. Let's fall in love again with the blue interior. Just loving it so much. So we'll come back to the front here. Just going to give you a little pan shot. And then shoot the back. You always get the black seats. You can never get red or blue back seats. But you do get full blue carpeting and floor mats with this model. Headliner. Looking clean. No, they said dirty headliner. It looks pretty clean to me. And then these seats are not the exact same ones that are in the DC2 and the EK9. These ones are actually a little narrower and have a little bit taller bolstering. Not taller, but like this part here is narrower here, and then the bolster itself is thinner than the common ones that you would see in the other Type Rs. If you're a skinny dude, these are great seats. If you're a little bit bigger, you stand a chance of busting this by sitting on it. But it's going to feel nice and tight because this is fairly deep and this is quite tall. And the material in here is good. It doesn't wear out very easily, but this material always will wear out as people are sitting on this when they're getting in and out of the car. Now this one has a little bit of a tear here. You're going to find that on a lot of these seats. Okay, steering wheel, they said there's some wear. You can see a little bit of scratching at the top there. It's pretty mild. Okay, floor mat, a little on the dirty side, but it's not bad considering it's an auction car. Those are the original pedal covers. You got a mystery box there of some sort of an electronic. If anyone knows what that is, let me know. Mystery toggle switch. Decent gauges, the two important things, your tachometer and your speed right in the center. Here you can see the cracked screen, so that's going to need to be replaced. It's not an OEM thing, it's just an aftermarket one. This is the controller for your gauge up here, which let me put the key in so you can see what it looks like. It's a Defi water temp gauge. And it looks like it's flickering on the screen, but that's only because of the camera's shutter speed. It doesn't flicker in real life. Rest of the dashboard all looking quite good. There's no bad smell inside. We have a Spoon Sports shift knob, a couple of cup holders, cigarette lighter adapter. This needs to click in there. There we go, fixed to car. Yeah, just a nice place to be. Good car, especially when you hit that red line. Look, 8,500 RPM. I think you can rev even a little bit past that up to 9,000, but your power stops at about 8,500. So yeah, I must say, it's a pretty good car. Has a few things here and there. After 15 years, you're going to have that on pretty much every car. But looking like a fairly well-kept car and something that you can continue to drive for a long time that's going to be nice for you. So that's going to be all for this video. Hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching, and have a nice day.